Welcome back to another episode of the Couch Coaches. I want to say episode 4 now, first one of 2026, UFC 324. The UFC is back, and we are some of its vertebrae. So we thought, why not break it down and talk about the card, give our predictions, and run through it. So, what are your thoughts on that?
That sounds pretty good. It has been a long time too, and I've been going stir crazy like most people would been. We had to watch Jake Paul fights and that sort of stuff. As I said in the last video, like it's been a long time. And coming back to a pretty decent card too, realistically.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think very decent. I would say, before we quickly get into it, I would probably go, if 300's a 10 out of 10, name value, we never know how these fights are going to go, but I would say probably an 8.5.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. Let's have a look at the topology here. First fight we have is Ty Miller versus Adam Fugit on the early prelims. What are your thoughts on this?
I've got Miller by decision. Only reason why is I've just seen Adam lose a couple times. It's nothing really to do with him, Ty Miller being crazily way better, but he's shown quite good skills. He's a lot younger too. I'm hoping like a little bit age, but I know like experience sometimes is fucking the big factor. But him being younger, probably quite a lot fitter, hungrier for it. This Fugit's been around a little bit longer, and while he might have some sort of experience compared to Ty Miller, I still think just young, hungry, probably ready to go. And he's got that 6-0. I know he had a draw, but from the fucking eye poke, but I still just hope that it'd be kind of cool to have another undefeated prospect. Especially
I think so too.
Oh, wait.
I'm taking Ty Miller. I will be taking him by decision. I think Adam Fugit's pretty tough. Yeah. I think he's getting up there in age, though, and his losses aren't too bad. 3.5 years ago was Michael Morales, submitted by Mike Mellott, who's now somewhat of a contender himself. Islam Dulatov's not bad by any means. But even his win, a split win over Josh Quinlan, it's really nothing to be too crazy about. So I think Ty Miller will handle this pretty easy. I think he's better all over. I think the youth is definitely going to come into play. And maybe there'll be some jitters, and maybe he might drop the first round. Like I said, Adam Fugit can wrestle. He'll mix it up. He's got good volume. But I like Ty Miller in this fight. I'm not willing to take the finish because, like I said, Fugit's a tough motherfucker. But I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if it happened either. So that's the first fight of the card. Next, we move on to Ricky Turcios, former The Ultimate Fighter winner, former Tough winner, versus Cameron Smotherman.
Yeah. Once again, I just have Smotherman by decision, just because Tercios, I know he's on a bit of a losing streak recently. He's had a bit of time off, but I know they've both been on losing streaks. But I'm just thinking, fucking, one of them has a few more, a few more, like wins that are decent, if that makes sense. Like they're not crazy wins. I know that he won tough, but I'm just picking him on a little bit of age difference. I know he's a little bit younger. Plus, I don't really know enough about the fighters, either of these fighters, to give like a massive thing. So I kind of have to admit that I just went with the majority vote.
Yeah, I like Ricky Turcios. I watched him on The Ultimate Fighter. I thought he was very fun, good personality. But he's like someone that just can spam a lot of volume, has really good cardio, but he's not great anywhere, if that makes sense. He's kind of just average everywhere. Like the Raul Roses fight, he kind of hung in there a little bit, but he got submitted. And like I said, like he has no power in his hands, no finishing capabilities, but he'll stand for 3 rounds and he can try and bang, and it'll make for an exciting fight. But this is for Cameron Smotherman to win this like 100%. 2 losses, sure, and maybe one of them was to Ricky as well. But I think Ricky Simone's a lot more proven than Ricky Turcios is. Ricky Simone KO'd Basharat. He's got a win over Marab. Hasn't looked super great recently, but, I think he's a lot more experienced than Ricky Turcios is. It's not like, Smotherman's seen as kind of the young guy, that they're trying to build a wee bit more than they are Turcios. But at the same time, they're both, 32, 28. I'm taking Cameron Smotherman in this. I think he's just a better fighter. Like regardless of who's putting in more effort, who's got better cardio. I think he's just more naturally gifted, naturally talented. I think he has the power to even finish fights if he needs to. Submissions are good. And it's like, really, who has Ricky Tercios beat? The Brady Highstand win, in hindsight, has kind of aged somewhat okay, but that was 4 years ago. Lost to Zahabi's not a bad loss. Raul Rose isn't a bad loss either. Bernard Sapage isn't even a bad loss in itself, but win against Kevin Nativad, none of us know who that is. It's a split decision. Cameron Smotherman needs this too. 2 back-to-back losses by decision. He needs this. He really does. So I'm going to take Smotherman by decision.
Yeah, same. Righto, next fight.
Yeah, Josh Hockett, Denzel Freeman. Peep through the WWE T-shirt here. I'm not sure if you can see that, but
yeah, I can see that on
But unfortunately, it's not enough for me. I'm taking Josh Hockett by KO. I think Josh Hockett's got a chance to really be something in this division of heavyweight. We saw his debut 2 months ago where he absolutely killed the guy. Came out, made me some money, did what he needed to do, and I think he'll do it again. Whereas I think Denzel Freeman was kind of expected to go out there in his debut around the same time and really take over and finish and excite us. And he kind of just scraped through. I don't know if it was jitters or what, but it just looked like he didn't really even want to be there. It looked like he was just scraping through. And he had this mindset about him like he was points ahead. He would feint and yeah, like they're landing, and you know what I mean? It seemed very strange. It seemed like he thought he was way ahead in the fight. And when he would go back to his corner was saying, hey, you need to be more active. And even the commentators were saying, we're not sure who's ahead. And he looked very confident, very happy with himself. So that just shows me that didn't even, like for us, I thought he had a bad performance or an average performance. He didn't. That was what he can do, and that's what he can give. He couldn't finish his fight. So I think Josh Hockett's a way easier pick to trust. And you see with the 87% here, no one's really on Freeman. I think Josh Hockett by KO is up there as one of the locks of the card.
Yeah. I've got him by KO round 1 as well. Yep. And he actually has he's got really good ground game. I saw on his Instagram like some highlight. I know it's his highlights. He's not going to post ones where he's getting, fucked around, but he looked like he was really good at getting people on the ground, stuff like that. And like I know the boys in heavyweight are all bigger boys, and that sort of thing. But for him to not be just one dimensional, like just got that knockout strength and so that, he's got a little bit to him. He actually has like a chance, as you said, to be quite good and go quite far. Because let's be honest, like there's a lot of people in the top 15 in heavyweight that really are just like one-trick ponies. And honestly, I'm happy to see a new wave of potential heavyweights coming through that actually have a bit of skill. And so I'd really like to see him go far. Plus, his Contender Series fight was also really good. He won me money on the Contender Series as well.
I agree with you. He does have a very good ground game, and it's interesting you brought that up. I forgot to mention that. The thing is, they both kind of have a bit of a ground game, right? Which is, he's got some submissions too. Josh Hockett has some rear nakeds. They both kind of have that fat man ground game. If they get on top of you, it's hard to get up. So I almost see it as maybe it cancels out. And we know Josh Hockett has to be to stand up. So that's why I think first round KOs. But I could also see it in your world where Hockett gets the takedown and Freeman might be able to offensively wrestle, but not defensively. And he gets stuck in a bad position. And that's the thing, when these guys are this big, if they get on top of you and rain down some elbows, you don't always have as much of a chance as the lighter divisions to kind of scramble, and you can't get out of the same positions as easy and roll to your back and Granbury roll forward. You kind of have to big man your way and be very technical, and 2 elbows at heavyweight's enough to end the fight. So I think Hockett's a safe pick.
Yeah, fat boys aren't doing fucking little rolls either. Like they're it's out of their sort of
forward rolls. Maybe fat boys and sausage rolls, but not fat boys.
Yeah.
We move up to another fight. Michael Johnson, Alexander Hernandez. Now, I'm really excited about this one. What do you got for this?
I have Hernandez, but dude, like throughout the week, man, people were like almost converting me, and it's kind of worrying me a little bit, eh? Because he really does just annoyingly win all the time for someone with unk status, I am going to pick Alexander Hernandez, and I'm going to pick him to win by KO, which is kind of, I think that's what the majority of people are doing, but I'm very much into 2 minds about it, where I'm like, I don't know, like, I can kind of see it going either way, but I'm just hoping, there's got to be a point where Michael Johnson takes over. Like he's getting older. I mean, we've got to see it eventually, and I'm just putting my money that it's going to be this fight. But it's going to be a good fight regardless.
I am one of the people taking Michael Johnson. So this is our first disagreement. And the thing is, I completely agree with you. Hernandez has been on a roll, and I think he definitely could catch Michael Johnson, who's quite chinny. But 24-19 is a terrible record. But let's not forget he beat Ferguson. He KO'd Dustin Poirier in his prime. But the thing that I'm judging this on is if you took Daniel Zellhuber from today and you matched him up against Alexander Hernandez, the 73% would be on Daniel Zellhuber to win. So if he was able to go out there and not fluke a KO, but outstrike Daniel Zellhuber for 3 rounds at the age of 39, this was only 6 months ago, I'm going to hope that he hasn't ticked over yet, which I know is a risk, but I'm going to hope that he hasn't. I think he's very, very quick on the feet. I think he's far more of a talented striker than Hernandez. I think Hernandez has 1 round to get him. And I think he might hurt him in the first round. I think he might drop him, but I trust in Johnson having that comeback, having that composure, being that veteran, even though Hernandez is on his way to being a bit of a veteran himself. And I think if we look at the 4-fight win streak, Austin Hubbard by split, that does not age well at all. That's a terrible performance.
Yeah.
Kurt Holybar's the same as Austin Hubbard. He's already been cut from the UFC. So both those guys are kind of cut, at least Kurt Holybar's. Chase Hooper looked ridiculous out there trying to strike with Hernandez when he should have been focusing on his
ground game. Yeah.
Throwing teep kicks with his chin up in the air like he's a striker all of a sudden. Diego Ferreira, that was someone that had definitely ticked over. Now, that was the last person to beat Michael Johnson. He beat him quite badly, but that was 2.5 years ago. It was very clear to me that Diego Ferreira had ticked over. Like you were saying with that unk status to just not able to compete anymore. Kind of where Gerald Milshard's at now. So I'm going to take Michael Johnson because I think his track record's a little bit better over this last year. I'm going to take him by decision, even though he has KO'd some people, because I think he might get in a sticky situation, but I think he'll win 2 rounds. I have it 29-28 to Johnson. And you may not remember this fight, but there was a fight, Bobby Green versus Drew Dober. And I think it's going to play out similar to this without the ending. Bobby Green was basically dancing around Dober, doing whatever he wanted. He was the quicker guy. He was the better striker. He was chewing him up. Dober pushed him up against the cage, cornered him, caught one hand, and KO'd him. But it was very clear to see Bobby Green was better. And I think if you run that fight back, that only happens 3 times or 2 times, and the other 7 or 8 times it goes Bobby Green's way. I think I see this fight being very similar to that, where Hernandez, if he wants to win, he's going to have to march through some shots as the slowest striker, pin him up against the cage, and land an ungodly right hand that puts him out cold. I think that's how, and I think that only happens 2 out of the 10 times. I think the other 8 times Michael Johnson dances around him. I like the body shots from Johnson. He's kind of he's from that old guard of veterans that still go to the body. It's almost like a dying thing these days where people go to the body. I like the way he was sticking at the body of Daniel Zellhuber. I think he's better than Alexander Hernandez. So I'm going to take Michael Johnson. I'm one of the guys going Johnson by decision.
Okay.
We move up to another Johnson. Charles Johnson versus Alex Perez. What do you got for this?
I've got Charles Johnson, bro. He's one of my favorite fighters.
Really?
I mean, wow. I really like him, bro. I don't know what it is. It was maybe when I got into UFC a couple of years ago, and I think I might have even been. I can't remember if it was. I can't remember what exact fight it was, but he impressed me quite a bit. And then like to go on and KO Joshua Van, I know not. He's had a couple decisions he's lost where like it's felt like it could really go either way, but like, or maybe it's just because I was betting on him. Like I know that can sway you, but yeah, he took Kavner's fucking what do you call it? Yeah, he took his O. And I know Alex Perez is good. Like, don't get me wrong. And he's lost to people that are quite good himself, like Pantoja, Makayev, Tyra, and Asubu Elmabayev recently.
Mm-hmm.
But like, he's still. I'm not like counting him out of the fight at all in any way. I just really like Charles Energy Johnson, and I mean, I think he's very exciting to watch. And I think if he doesn't, sometimes he has a lot of go in him, but sometimes he isn't. It's not like he's reserved, but I feel like he is his own worst enemy occasionally. Where I feel like there's a couple times where he hasn't gone for something or has been waiting to set up a perfect thing instead of like showing some of the skills he has and just going for it. So I hope that like he sees like I've beaten the champion. Recently I'm the last person to like KO the champion. I feel like if he starts winning a few more fights, like they could even look at a rematch down the line if like Pantoja and stuff like that aren't really in the picture for whatever reason. But like he's coming to he's 35 now. He's not got that much life left in him in the fighting game. But I really like him. I think he's quite entertaining. For some reason, like I don't know what it is. He just gives me like he's entertaining to watch. And when you had to sit through some of the shit fight nights that UFC puts on, if you see him on a card, you're like, oh, thank fuck he's fighting. At least there's some excitement on the card. That's just my personal preference. But I've got Charles Johnson with a second round KO.
I think he's the best unranked flyweight there is. Like you mentioned Lona Kavner. He also took Joshua Vanzo, KO'd both those guys. And did he catch them? And maybe he would lose that fight if it went decision. He still caught them, and he was still competitive with them. Now, I think Perez is being overlooked. I get he's 1-5 in his last 4 fights, but I think only 33. We see him as washed because he had a title shot like 5 years ago or whatever. Yeah, 3.5 years ago, nearly 4. So it's like we see him as washed because of that. But he's actually the younger guy. He's 33. The Alsu Alamabayev fight, which Alamabayev is no joke, was very close. Let's not forget Perez was wrestling very well and got caught with I believe in a rear naked or no, it might have been a guillotine in the 3rd round. But I think Charles Johnson's very good. I think he's way better on the feet. He's going to use his range very well. I'm concerned. I think Perez will steal around. So I'm a decision maxer tonight. I am taking decision Johnson, but I just think it's his time. I think he capitalizes on these events. And I think the UFC, I don't want to say they're rigging the judges or anything, but I think they're starting to realize that they can put a little bit of promotion behind Johnson. Like this is finally his shot at the rankings. You look at his wins and who he's competing against, all killers. He should be in the top 10. But he's really just fighting to get into the top 15 now. I do think Perez is on his way out, but I also see a win for Perez coming soon because he's getting better. Like I've noticed that from the Tatsuro Taira loss, he had a good round against Tatsuro Taira until he didn't. And it was a knee injury. It was a very weird. I believe that was the fight we watched in Bali, if you remember that, in the pub. And Muhammad Makayev is not a bad loss at all. Pantoja obviously not a bad loss. Beating Nikolai, who was kind of chinny, but the Asim Alamabayev loss, he did show that he still had it in that fight. But I think Charles Johnson isn't just some guy that gets lucky and KOs people. I think he can actually beat Alex Perez across the distance. So I'm going to take Charles Johnson, but I'm taking him by decision.
Okay.
We move up to another fight that I'm really excited about. Modestas Bukauskas versus Nikita Krylov. I'm a big Bukauskas guy. I'm going to take him. I'm going to take him by KO. He has been winning me some money. I throw him in these last 4 fights. I've thrown him in the parlays. The Victor Petrino losing to that fight, not a great look. Petrino's kind of average. He's up at heavyweight, but he's a very strong, powerful guy that if he catches you, you're going to go down. Martin Prachniow, he had a good fight against him. This is where the head kick was kind of thrown in the pocket. He ate that. And I like that he took him down and was able to sub him. I like that he's not just a one-trick pony. KO's Curcio, which isn't a crazy win by any means, but it shows that he's looking for finishes because this is the guy that Khalil Roundtree snapped his leg. He went on like a 3-fight win streak in Cage Warriors, and since he's been back, he's been a different beast. The Ion Cutelaba split decision, I don't like that, but Cutelaba kind of brings it with a lot of guys, and maybe it was a Modestas performance that wasn't as great as it could have been. And then the Paul Craig KO, he easily beats Paul Craig. Everyone saw that coming. So I am taking him by first round KO. A lot of topology as well. I just think Krylov's, I think he's done, man. I think it's, you can argue it was the inactivity when the Ukraine went to war with Russia, but I also think part of it is just he's done. Was he training over those time? He comes back, he gets KO'd by Reyes, he rushes back into another fight against Bogdan, gets KO'd again in the first round, and now he's only waiting 5 months, and he's already back against someone like Bukauskas with power in his hands. So there's a world he takes Bukauskas down and dominates him, but I don't think there's a world where he survives on the feet for too long. I think, unfortunately, his chin's done. I think his time's up.
Yeah. I'm very much the same sound. I've got Bukauskas too to win the first round. And I mean, like, I think Nikita Krylov, like, he made a name off, like, I mean, when he beat Gustafsson, that was like the end of Gustafsson, like it wasn't like prime Gustafsson. And I think just his name value at the time got him to like be, like, people got their heads warped, like Guru's very big on him and stuff like that. And like, and that, I think that like everyone got like their thoughts and opinions warped on how good he really is. And he was good. Don't get me wrong. Like he has the skills. Everyone in UFC that gets to UFC does. But as the last 2 losses, like first round KOs, the time he's spent, like away, as you said, and then the like time he had 9 months ago he had that knockout, he got knocked out, and then like 4 months after that he had that other knockout, and now it's 5 months. Like there's got to be something upstairs in his head that's not, he's not coming back 100%. Surely, like everyone else takes a while off, and I think
How
it's because he
confident
knows
is
he's at the end of his career. What was it, sorry?
Like how confident is he to even take that shot? Is he going to want to be in the fight again? Are we going to see him hesitant?
Yeah. And
I also think. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I just, in my head, I'm thinking, like, does he know that he's kind of at the end of his career and he's just trying to pump out a couple fights while his contract's still paying decent money? And he's like, fuck, I'll be a lamb to the slaughter just for a bit of money. Like, I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but like, he must know, like, I know we saw Charles Oliveira come back from his KO against Ilia Topuria pretty quickly and do well, but like, he wasn't going up against someone that has fucking bricks for hands as such. Like,
I would say he's chasing a win. I would say he came back and he probably thought he was going to be right at where he was on his win streak with his momentum. And I'd say he's completely lost it and lost that momentum. And now no one really cares. And now you're right. He is being used as a name for other people to build their name off of. But I think he's chasing that win. He wants to be back in the winning column. But your last win is Ryan Spann 2.5, nearly 3 years ago. It's like, that's nothing to even use to build a fight. It's Ryan Spann at light heavyweight. Hell, Anthony Smith beat him at the end of his career. Anthony Smith beat him twice, for fuck's sakes. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't put value in that. Volkan Ozdemir is a good win, it is. But before that, Gustafsson, we already spoke about how far through his career he already was. So I think, as much as I do think, there's the argument that Krylov was never really anything, and it's now being shown in the new era. I do think he was something. I just think he's no longer that. That's kind of my take on it. And I think Modestas is improving from fight to fight to fight.
Yeah.
So I'm confident in this fight, but I will be a little bit concerned if they end up on the ground. That's where I kind of start to think, oh, I don't like that. I'd like Modestas to keep it on the feet and land the big shots, because I can't see Krylov chinning him. Modestas can eat a shot, but I could, and there's even a world Modestas drops him and he's ground and pounding and gets caught in a triangle or something like that. So if he's gonna hurt him, I'd like to see him get it done and get it done cleanly. But we'll see what happens. Like, it's not a lock. Anything could happen, but I'm taking Modestas.
Yep. So
next fight, Itobi Gautier versus Andre Polaev. Who have you got for this? Oh well, do I need to?
I have Gautier by sexual assault. I don't think he lost Polyev or whatever he fucking says in the Russian name. He has lost to Christian Leroy Duncan. Like, that's fine in my opinion. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not even about what he's done or what he hasn't done. It's really just about Itobi Gautier, who is literally just fucking. If you guys have seen Key and Peele, he is literally that scary guy in the boxing thing that's like, all of God's lessons are beautiful in pain, or whatever it is. That's literally what he is, bro. He's just another scary guy from a scary part of the world that just has disgusting. Well, we haven't seen his ground game, let's be honest. But apart from that, we just know that if he touches you, you're gone, and it is literally that dangerous. And like, he's quite a big dude as well. Like, I don't even know if he'll be at middleweight his whole entire career. He might even move up to light heavyweight, and there he might have some trouble. But in middleweight, I am terrified of anyone's chin or body being touched by him. We saw how strong he was when he threw, Tristan Vines or whatever off him, just like he was nothing, like a lifeless corpse. He could just play with his body. Like, that sounds weird saying it out loud, but it was
nothing really even landed that clean. It felt like he could just tap him on the temple when he was asleep. Like, it was such a weird thing. I know the finish you're referring to. Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. It's just I'm just worried for anyone that has to go against him. I'd never bet against him until we see him get exposed massively in the future by grapplers or something like that. And even then, I'm not going to risk it the first time.
I think Polaev has a good style against someone like this, where he's kind of like a stick and move. I don't think he's going to engage in a war. But I'm taking Gautier by first round KO. I think he just needs to land one shot and it's all over. But I do think maybe this year, with how quick they're rushing Gautier, he's only 23, 6-0. Is he 6-0? Let me just double check that.
No, he's 9-1.
9-1, my bad. But I thought he was undefeated. But I think someone is going to fraud check him at some point.
Oh, of course.
I think he is going to have that humbling. And I don't even know if it's going to be a wrestler. It may very well be. I think it is going to be someone with a similar style to Polyev, but a little bit better. It's like Navajo Sterling. We can see what's coming. Someone's going to get you at some point. And when you're as big as Gautier is, there's going to be a cardio question if you don't KO this guy in the first round.
Yeah.
And someone at middleweight, you've got a lot of strikers that know how to fucking bait you into a long fight and very smart as the division gets higher. But it could also be a wrestler. But his cardio is going to come into question at some point. But I don't think it's going to be this fight. I don't think Polayev, the guy who fucking, beat Nick Klein and has only fought Christian Leroy Duncan in the UFC. And going to decision with Christian Leroy Duncan, like you said, it's not a big deal losing that fight. He's still young. Yeah. He's Russian. Maybe he'll look to mix in the wrestling, but I feel like Gautier could KO him with a sprawl, a takedown defense. You know what I mean? Like this guy just doesn't need to hit you with much at all to put you out cold. Jose Medina, Robert Valentin, and now Tristan Vines. I haven't done the math on this, but I would argue that it was maybe one round that he KO'd all of them in. As in if you accumulated all the time from those 3 fights. Those weren't long fights. He killed those guys very, very quickly, and I think he's going to continue to do that. So praying that he makes weight and everything goes smoothly, because when you're that big, you don't know. He's 6'4" as well, but if everything goes well for him, I think this is just another walk in the park for him. And so does everybody. 97% picking him, so no one's taking that leap of faith. Only 3% of people are taking Polayev. So if he does win, if Polayev does win, there's going to be some people out there with a very heavy pick.
The people picking him 100% just doing it so they can be like, I told you he was going to get 4 check. Like, you don't actually think he's going to win. You just want to get that like rare.
You want to be the guy that said it.
Yeah, you want. Yeah. And you don't think he's going to win, really. Like, I refuse to believe it.
Let's move on to still not the main cards, the end of the prelims. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueiredo, rank 4 versus rank 9 in the bantamweight division.
Yeah, I've got Nurmagomedov by decision. I've seen Figueiredo give up on himself a little bit in fights. I'm not saying he's bad really anywhere. I think he's ex-champion, man. Like, it's not even that. It's just I know he won his last, but it was a split. And I know Umar, obviously, sort of the younger guy, a little bit less experienced, whatever. But it really does. They are thoroughbreds, you know what I mean? Like, or inbred thoroughbred, I should say. But fucking, they are still very good. The Russians. His last couple of fights, I haven't been that impressed by Nurmagomedov all that much. I feel like he could go for it a bit more, and like he does just hug people and stuff like that. But he does have the ability to, KO people. He does have obviously knows how to do submissions. I mean, like he came out grappling. He knows what he's doing. But I just think his skill is going to outweigh Figueiredo. Plus his size, there's a bit of a strength behind him too. All those Russian boys, if you know, they're all a little bit stronger than everyone else in their division. I personally think I don't know if he's going to go get a finish, but I think he's definitely going to get a decision. I'm sure. Well, he's definitely going to win, but I'm taking it by decision.
I'm going to risk the finish. I think everyone's taking Umar. I'm surprised. I thought this fight would be the 97 and 3%. 95 and 5 still very high, but I don't see a world where Figueiredo at this point in his career can win. I really don't. I'm going to take submission by round 2. I think Umar's good enough on the feet that if this went standing, he could also win that. But, when you look at Barcelos, he KO'd, Beksat Almakhan, sure, that went to decision, so maybe I'm risky taking this to a decision. But Beksat Almakhan's very good. That's the guy who had the fight with Alexandre Taporia recently, where it was quite decent. It also went decision. 5 rounds against Sandhagen, he dominated. Sandhagen couldn't do anything. Merab Dvalishvili lost that, but it was close. Beat Mario Batista. But I think for Umar, I think he needs a finish here. I think he's starting to realize it. I watched some of his interviews. He's talking about how you have to have personality. You have to win in cage. You have to make exciting. So I think he's really going to be pressing for a submission. Figueiredo's kind of fluky. And when I say fluky, I don't even mean it in a good term. I mean, weird shit happens to him. The same way Pantoja broke his arm, I could see something like this happening again. We saw what happened with Corey Sandhagen. And let's be honest, Corey Sandhagen dominated this guy on the ground.
Yeah, he made it look easy.
Picked him up, put him in a compromising position with the Kimura very easily, where he had to to do with his knee, where he had to roll this way and break his knee, or go this way and further himself into the submission. So I don't understand why Umar couldn't do that. Now, is there a world where Umar just puts him up against the cage, hugs him on the ground, and makes this boring? There is. But I think I think Figueiredo at this point in his career is not just going to let someone sit on top of him. I think he's going to look and try and create scrambles and opportunities because he wants to win this. If this is his last hurrah at the top of the division, he's getting old now. So if he beats Umar, like, it's massive for him. But if he doesn't, he's kind of done for, you know? Montel Jackson by split decision, that was a stand-up fight. He looked good in that, he did. But I think Umar's younger, hungrier, better. I think he is very good. Even the Merab loss was very close. So I see a world where he gets Figueiredo down, and through Figueiredo trying to find these scrambles, I think he might look for a submission and lock something up. So I'm going to take Umar by submission, which not many people are. That's kind of my little risky one. Move on to the main card, and this might be the fight I'm looking forward to the most. Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva. Arnold Allen is my boy. I hate Gene Silva. I can't fucking stand the guy barking and thinking he's a superstar and thinking if he beats Arnold Allen, he's going to get a title shot. Dude, you just lost to Diego Lopez. Like, Diego Lopez didn't get the title shot because he beat the star in you. Diego Lopez got the title shot because he's a star. You're not, little bro. You ain't been here long enough. You can bark at whoever you want. You can call yourself the Lord. We know what you did to Bryce Mitchell, you demonic prick. Right? Yeah. Arnold Allen's going to humble you, baby. You're about to get some British humble pie. Bark if you're gay. And you be doing a whole lot of barking. Arnold Allen's my man. I think Arnold Allen's so damn underrated. And Gene Silva was talking about all his losses. He's 20-3, you ditzy fuck. And his only losses in the UFC are Max Holloway and undefeated Movsar Evloev. Second best featherweight of all time, unless we're going to talk to Poirier. And then fucking undefeated Evloev. Beat Giga Chikadze with ease. Kind of just circled to the outside of his kick. Very, very, very smart fighter. Beat Calvin Kattar. That was on CGI. Didn't beat
that was AI. AI.
Yeah. Beat Calvin Kattar with ease. You know, and even the Movsar fight, it could have almost gone his way, man. It was very, very close. I'm scared for him in the first round. I think Gene Silva, his footwork's great. I think he gets into the fight straight away. It's hard to figure him out. I could see him dropping Arnold Allen in the first round, but I think ultimately as the fight goes on, Allen's going to figure him out. And I think Gene Silva gets frustrated, man. If you don't go down and get finished, he starts playing to the crowd. He's trying to do emotes and cry. I don't think Arnold Allen's going to play his game. Arnold Allen's not there to keep the fans cheering. Arnold Allen's there to stay quiet, be unseen, get his paycheck, and go home. And I like a motherfucker like that. That's blue collar. That's hard working. I'm taking AA Arnold Almighty Allen, baby. I'm taking him by decision.
Yeah, I'm very much the same. I've got Allen by decision too. It is really autism versus Asperger's. It's the fucking Silva who barks like a fucking dog. And just funny, he might have beaten Bryce Mitchell, but Bryce Mitchell technically won the press conference, and people still talk about that. What he said about, I've had a lot of wild dogs come onto my property, and when I shoot them, they all make the same whelping sound when I put them down, sort of thing like that. I feel he lost aura, because there was a time where he was starting to come up against, like, when he beat Charles Jourdain and stuff like that. You know, before this, David was his thing, and before he said he was friends with or supported certain people, we should say, there was people that liked him, and I won't even admit. I mean, I'm not even afraid to admit, I still enjoy his fights. Don't get me wrong.
Very fun fighter.
But when I watched Diego Lopez knock him out, bro, or TKO, what do you want to call it, and turn him into a fucking pinhead, because he looked weird afterwards. If anyone's seen those photos, he was all weird looking. I've never been so fucking happy in my life. I was so pumped. Plus, Arnold Allen, bro, like bringing his cat as well along for the fight, and the little carry-on bag and stuff like that. He's just a good guy. Plus, obviously being on drugs or shrooms. I think he's a shroom boy, isn't he? In the press conference, going like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. You know, that's funny. He's a good guy. He's a hard worker. I can see, I am worried about him in the first round. But if Gene Silva loses cool and goes to Lord Silva, like he says in the press conference, the same thing that happened with fucking gay. The same thing that happened against Diego Lopez when he lost his cool, bro. He started trying to be, just aggressive ape. He got put down, bro. And I have Allen by decision, but if Gene Silva's not kept, Allen can sleep his ass. I don't know why he's talking a lot of shit. To lose to Max Holloway by a decision, like one of the best strikers ever, and then Movsar Evloev, which is, let's be honest, a great grappler. Like, they're better in their respective fields than Gene Silva is. Gene Silver's just got the power, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit worried about that, but Arnold Allen can pick this kind of apart easy as. Like, I'm not actually that worried at all. But this is honestly one of the best fights on the card.
Yeah.
Like, if this sort of fight wasn't on the card, and I know like everyone wants to go like, oh, the Harrison fight getting taken off is a big dent in the card. I feel like the only reason this sort of card still stays alive is because the prelims are quite good too, and these sort of fights on the card, this is what the people that we tune in each week on fight nights and show that suffer through the shit. We get treated to these sort of things occasionally, and this is going to be it's a sleeper for the casual fan, but everyone else knows that you have to watch this fight. This is a must watch, and I'm looking forward to it.
It's a brilliant open to the main card too, because Arnold
Yeah.
Allen he will kind of coast to a decision if he wants. So it's interesting to see with someone like Gene Silver who won't let him do that. He'll be coming to take his fucking head off, and let's see what Arnold Allen's really made of. Let's see how confident he is, and we'll see, because no one's ever finished Arnold Allen to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So it's it'll be very interesting if Gene Silver does, but I think Allen is going to be able to win. I think he's going to be able to circle. I think he's good in the pocket in the boxing too. That's his world. He's the short, stocky guy too. Gene Silver does very well against these long, rangy guys who like to lean back with their chin because he can kind of duck in and explode with these shots. Arnold Allen's going to be right there. You want to come in the pocket with Arnold Allen, that's his world too, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to this. I'm praying for Arnold Allen win. Yeah. You go out there and yeah, bark if you're gay. But no, I like Arnold Allen. He's also liked multiple of my comments on YouTube before and replied to me. So he's a real one. He's funny. He's got a good channel. We're taking Arnold Allen all the way, baby. And even if Gene Silver wins, let me just make this clear. You are not rushing in front of the line of Mozart Evloev and fucking Lerone Murphy. Like, that's not how this works, little guy. Like,
nah, fuck off.
One fight, little broski, little lord, using, blasphemous motherfucker. How dare you?
Yeah, you can't have Lord in your name and call yourself a Christian or like religious as well, bro. Everyone knows that. That's the fucking basic rules.
The demons inside of you will be crucified this weekend. They will be expelled from you. And Arnold Almighty Allen's doing it, baby. So I've got Arnold Allen. Let's move on from this because I'm sick of seeing this little fuck on my screen.
I've already scrolled up. I can't stand him. Yeah.
Here we go. Natalia Silva, Rose Namajunas. The fight that I was trolling and laughing so hard at for weeks because it was on the prelims. Finds a way to slither and snake its way onto the main card. What do you got for this?
I have the underdog pick.
Wow.
I know. A lot of people don't know this about me, but when Rose had long hair, I thought she was quite hot. I think a lot of people think that too. A lot of people are picking Silva, and I can see why. Don't get me wrong. I'm not daft, but I just think Namajunas always does well against other, well, not always, but she does well against other strikers a lot of the time. I'm quite impressed by her every time, even though she can be a bit of every woman's decision merchant. I know where I'm going with that, but yeah, I don't know what it is, man. I know Natalia Silva is on a big tier right now, and she's got wins against some good people too, like Grasso and Andrade used to be like considered a good win, and Andrade is quite a scary striker to come against when you're a girl. Like she lesbian power, domestic abuse. She'll put you out if she can. But I just still, I always like Rose Namajunas, and that's rare for me because usually fucking this is a piss break or go get Uber Eats from the door. But I actually hope Rose wins. I don't really have any. I've got her by decision. I don't think she's going to get a K or anything like that. But I still think she has the skills.
Yep.
But yeah, I can see it going either way, but I'm just going with my heart, and I'm going Rose.
Well, she's versed everyone, right? She's beaten most of them. It's interesting to see she's 14-7, and Natalia's actually had more fights at 19-5. I am going to take Natalia Silva. I think she beats Pat Barry's victim. I'm taking her by decision. I think the Grasso win was crazy. That let me know, like, oh, shit, she can stick at range and pick people apart. And if you're thinking Rose, I would have a look at those betting apps, sir, because there is some money to be made on Rose. I believe she's paying out $4 to win. Natalia Silva's switch stances are phenomenal. Her kicks are phenomenal. The way she picks strikes and uses her footwork to circle out so that you can't do anything back is phenomenal. What she did to Alexa Grasso, she broke her down in a 3-round fight and made her look like she wanted to cry in her corner. And that's a former champion that subbed Shevchenko. And not subbed Shevchenko and then came back 10 years later. Subbed Shevchenko, lost to Shevchenko, had a draw, and then her next fight was Silva. So not a washed-up Grasso by any means. and she made her look shit. So
Yeah.
I think Natalia Silva's the real deal. I think this is what the women's division's needed, an actual fucking contender. I think booking her against Rose is smart because Rose is a big name. I'm even okay with this being on the main card. I know I trolled it, but I'm taking Silva by decision. I think she's just going to out-volume Rose. I think Rose is a good fighter. I don't think she'll get finished. I think she might. I think she's very smart and has a great game plan, but I think sometimes she just doesn't do enough. You know, we go back to the win against the loss was it against it's past her fights now, but the Carla Esparza, where absolutely nothing happened, and she's in the corner with Pat Barry, her groomer, being like, yo, like, this is, and Pat Barry's, you're doing such a great job, and she thinks she's winning. She fluked the win over Zhang Wei Li. We all know about that. Miranda Maverick, yeah, it's a decent win. Erin Blanchfield losing to her hasn't aged amazingly. Erin Blanchfield very good, but Tracy Cortez did her right against Erin Blanchfield until she didn't. Yeah. I think Natalia Silva's the real deal. I think it's her time. I see her winning by decision, but it's women's MMA. The ref might win for all we know. It's one of those fights. I wouldn't put my money on it, but I'm taking Natalia. We move up to another very, very fun fight. Two characters. Another fight where I feel like people were kind of love one guy and hate the other guy. Waldo Cortez Acosta, Derek Lewis. Take it away, Rocky.
Yeah, well, remember when I did my prediction for champs, I said Cortez Acosta. I kind of had to stick to my guns on that.
You did.
I do, and yeah, so I've got Cortez Acosta, but weirdly, I have him by decision. I know a lot of people have the KOs for these fights. I have a weird feeling it's going to go the distance. I feel like they might both tire each other out a little bit in the first round, both trying to go for the KO, and they both have pretty decent chins, and they both have ridiculous knockout sort of power, like most heavyweights do. I just have a weird feeling that this is the rise of Acosta, and I think he's going to win the decision against Derek Lewis.
Yep, and fair enough. And I think Derek Lewis is too old. I think he does very good, but I think that Tellison Teixeira fight, I think if you ran that 10 times, it'd probably be 5-5. And most heavyweight fights are, it's hard to predict it. I'm taking Cortez Acosta by KO. A lot of people feel like this guy's going to get his comeuppance because of the Delija fight and how that turned out with the whole eye poke. But at the end of the day, he still won that. He still won that by KO. He still showed up on a month's notice or a week's notice, and KO'd Shamil Gaziev and beat him better than anyone else has. So I trust in Cortez Acosta. I'm going to go second round KO because I think I can see Derek Lewis having somewhat of a successful first round. I think Waldo Cortez Acosta does like to dance a bit. He can easily eat a shot. I do think he likes to kind of stay on the outside and let the bigger – he's definitely going to be the smaller guy. So maybe as Derek Lewis gets slower in the second round, he might capitalize on that. And Derek Lewis can be a bit of a quitter sometimes. If it's not going his way, hands down by his side, and he's upset, and he's trying to bait you into one big shot. But I think Cortez isn't dumb. I think he isn't silly. I do think he's good. He's made me money. I doubted him in the past, but he's here to stay. He's 16-2. He's got some good wins now. The Pavlovich performance is a little bit scary because he did just get beaten in that for 3 rounds quite easily, but he took the shots, he ate the shots, and I think Pavlovich is a better kickboxer than Derek Lewis. And that's like the new Pavlovich that's not looking for finishes. He's kind of he's looking for finishes, but he's very technical now. He's not just swinging. Yeah. Whereas Derek Lewis doesn't have that ability to kick and be as technical as Sergey. And I mean, we saw what Sergey did to Derek. So I know Derek Lewis is the guy, the most amount of KOs in the fucking UFC. I know he's the guy that completely crushes all these prospects, but I think Cortez is a proven prospect, not just some guy they're feeding to Derek Lewis. So I think this is a good fight and a fun fight, and I'm going to take Cortez by KO.
Yeah.
We move up the card. Sean O'Malley, Song Yadong.
Yeah, I have O'Malley by 3rd round KO. I was originally going to take him by decision, and I know there's actually quite a few people online now that are starting to say Song Yadong, where he's the faster. And I know we all got a little bit upset that Sean O'Malley lost to Merab 2 times in a row, and the second one was a submission. I know Sean O'Malley can make excuses here and there a little bit too, but I just think when it comes to the technicality of the whole fight, I think O'Malley is actually very good at what he does, and I think he's basically realized that he needs to get this win to even think about going for a title again. I think he's had a bit of time. He's watched how the division's gone and gone well, I feel like he beat Peter Yan. I know it was a split decision, but he wants that chance to have another fight against Petty Yan because that's a big fight too.
Yep.
And like I might even take Petty Yan in that fight to be honest, but like I think he knows that he has a chance at like winning in one more fight, maybe, and instantly getting back in the title fight if someone drops out or someone gets injured. He's right back up there. So I think Sean O'Malley's going in with a killer instinct this fight. It might take him a little while to like find it, something like that, but I think he can put away Song Yadong.
I think Sean O'Malley's very, very, very good. And I'm not saying Song Yadong isn't. And I've got him listed as Yadong Song here, so I'm not sure what's going on. But I think Sean O'Malley's very good. His last 2 losses were Merab. And let's not forget the first Merab fight, he won a round. He even hurt him. He won 2 rounds. It was 2-3. Second fight, yeah, sure. But that's Merab. Song Yadong's not going to be – he trains with favor, but he's not going to be shooting in multiple takedowns like that. And if he is, he's going to get tired. Sean O'Malley's great at distance. This is a striker. This is what he's been wanting. And to your point, I think Sean O'Malley goes out and beats Song Yadong, whether it's by decision or KO. I think they are going to do Sean O'Malley versus Petty Yan because that fight was a robbery. People want to see that fight back. People want to see Petty Yan get that chance back. And I might have to make a video on this because even if it's not Sean, I feel like they've set them up with Umar versus Figueiredo. Umar's only loss is Merab. He now beat Mario Batista since then. If he beats Figueiredo, why wouldn't you just do Petty Yan Umar if Sean O'Malley loses? So I think Merab's going to get shafted here. I don't know if we're going to get that trilogy straight away. I think Sean O'Malley goes out there, beats Song Yadong. I think he does get the title shot. I think he's just a better fighter than Song Yadong. I think Song Yadong has really good power and he's quite quick, but I think he's not at the level as these other guys who have really good power, really quick, and then physical attributes like insane range or speed like Sean O'Malley has. And Sean O'Malley's a real deal. He has jiu-jitsu too. And then you also have guys like Petty Yan that have the power, the speed, but then immaculate technical skills. Bantamweight's very, very hard to crack into that top 5. Sean O'Malley was able to do it. I think he's still young. I think he's going to be able to hold off his spot. It's a really fun fight, but I think if you look at the division, I think this fight for Sean O'Malley is perfect. I think if they booked him with Sandhagen would have wrestled. If they booked him with Umar would have wrestled. If they booked him with even Figueiredo, I think that would have been favorable, but I think Figueiredo still would have tried to shoot. I think Song Yadong's going to stand with them, and I think he's going to realize how hard Sean O'Malley hits, how good Sean O'Malley is at cutting angles and sniping. And, I don't hate the pick of a KO. I just think Chinese chins have that, like, Chad chin that's so hard to crack. I think Sean will be all over him, but I think Sean doesn't rush finishes either. Sometimes he'll throw a single shot. He's not looking for 1, 2, 3 head kicks. So I'm not going to bank on the finish. I am just going to go Sean O'Malley decision. But, yeah, I'm very high on Sean O'Malley winning this fight.
It's only going to be a 3-round, isn't it? Even though it's the co-main as well. Because
yes.
Just okay.
We do need to say, it's a co-main. Sean's a star. He gets the co-main slot. We move on to the main event, though. You want to go first for this? Paddy, the Paddy Pimlet versus Justin, the Highlight Gaethje. Interim title at lightweight, man.
Yeah. Well, yet again, I've got the underdog.
What? All right.
I know. Everyone's taking 62% of people are taking Paddy. And might I just add as well while we're at it? So on Tapology, you can see how many people pick fights. Everyone has picked this fight that's kind of doing the thing, right? And you go down a couple of fights, you still see it's pretty close, maybe a couple hundred people missing. I've been noticing that going, like, if you are on Tapology and you are only picking certain fights on a card to call, you're a fucking bitch. You're a fucking pussy. You are not putting your fucking chin out there. You're not going out for a war. You're a decision maxer, and it's fucking embarrassing. Sorry, back to what we were saying.
It's kind of like sparring in the gym, but then refusing to take the fight.
Yeah,
or it's very much like a weird. I completely agree with you like that. We have friends that do that in real life. Not to harp on about this, but it's I don't know what the perfect analogy is for it, but it's a pussy move, man.
Yeah.
You don't know the other fighters? Learn or take a gamble, buddy.
Yeah, you're never going to make it off the prelims if you don't fucking take a short notice fight, bro. Fucking see you later. It's embarrassing.
All in or all out, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. You hit a nerve with that. That you're 100%. Yeah. But what was your breakdown for the fight?
Well, at first they were all buddies, but if anyone's seen a press conference, you know that there is actually a little bit of bad blood between these two now. Paddy Pimlet got choked up on his words a little bit when he was arguing with Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje called him out for talking shit about Dustin Poirier, and he's like, "Yeah, no, lad. I was talking about like your fight," and he's like, "No, you were talking about his most recent fight against Max Holloway." And Paddy Pimlet's like, "Yeah, he looks, shouldn't it? You're versing Max Holloway. And then Justin Gaethje like Max Holloway would make you look shit, which I also agree with. I think Paddy Pimblett is really good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those. I mean, there was a time where I was like, they're feeding him the end of the career guys, rah rah rah. But I picked Michael Chandler against him. I have to admit, I picked Michael Chandler against him to beat him, and I was very, very impressed by his performance against Michael Chandler. I just think I can just see Justin Gaethje getting it done. I think he's been in. I know he's been in wars, but he's versed a lot of the people that Paddy Pimblett's versed on the tail ends, or some of the people he's versed on the tail ends when they were in their primes, and he beat them.
Yep.
And some of he is. There's a reason he's called the highlight. And I know people. I found him cringe for going like, I'm retiring if I don't get a title fight. Don't get me wrong. I still think that was a bit of a bitch move. But Justin Gaethje really is the highlight, bro. Like, I know he was one that got knocked out by Max Holloway, but that was like he was in that fight. It wasn't a great performance from him, but like when he came back against Fiziev, everyone was worried. Everyone was worried that Fiziev was going to put him to sleep and that he's changed, he's finished now. But he really just went straight back in there like old Gaethje, man. And I really enjoyed that fight. I honestly think, and I know Scalzo's never got knocked out. I've seen Paddy Pimblett get knocked out in his regional scene. So I don't know why the fuck he says that. I don't hate Paddy Pimblett. It sounds like I do right now. I just like the old guard. And, it's a bit of nostalgia bias for me. But I've got Gaethje to win by KO in round 3. And that's my parlay is going to be, got a couple underdogs on it, with Rose, Gaethje, stuff like that. But yeah, and probably Allen, I assume, as well. But yeah, I'm picking Gaethje to beat Paddy Pimblett by KO in round 3, and I hope he gets it done. Not because I hate Paddy or don't think he has chance to be a future champion. I do think he has the skills, some of that. But I just really like Gaethje, and I'd love to see his last run in the UFC be a title run.
I love that you mentioned the prime difference thing with the beating Ferguson in his prime and finishing him, and then Paddy going to a decision against the older version. I watched. I sent you that video. I'm not sure if you watched it of the Paddy the Pimblett. I keep calling him Paddy the Pimblett instead of Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. In the gym with Tom Aspinall, and he's kind of vaping in his training camp, and he's become like a gossip queen, man. Like, I'm taking Paddy, but he's every interview I see, fucking Armin, lad. Dan Hooker fucking couldn't grapple a rapist. Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler's a bitch. He was in the video. He was Cyril Gahn needs to wash his hands. It's like, you realize you're fighting Justin the highlight Gaethje?
Yeah.
This isn't Jared Gordon, brother. Like, this is Gaethje with Trevor Whitman behind him on his last title shot. Cool and washed, coming off a win against someone like Rafael Fiziev, who, let's be real, if it was Fiziev versus Paddy right now, this fight would be a lot more 50-50. People were thinking, Fiziev might win this. So the fact that people are overlooking Gaethje and saying he's washed is crazy. With that being said, I am still taking Paddy Pimblett. I said to myself, when I saw what he did to Chandler, how dominant he was, I said, I'm never going against this guy again, unless it's an Armin or an Ilya he's versing. I think his kicks are extremely underrated. I think he's going to come out on the feet with that bladed stance. He's been very kind of rangy in his past 3 or 4 performances. His striking looks leveled up. He used to just kind of get in there and brawl a bit more, and it had him get tagged in his first UFC fight. I think his kicks are phenomenal. I think his leg kicks are great. I think he might even set up a head kick. There's a world in which Paddy Pimblett head kick KOs Justin Gaethje this weekend.
Yeah.
There is a world where that happens, but I think he's going to use the leg kicks to slow Gaethje down. I don't think he's going to shoot singles and doubles. It's not really his game, but I think he's going to be the bigger guy. I think he's going to show that his striking's a threat. Gaethje recently has kind of tried to be a bit of a counter striker. Once you overextend, he'll slip, dip, and rip with a massive uppercut like he did to Rafael Fiziev. Last names. I think Paddy is going to look to just kind of snipe him with a jab, keep him at range, lead kicks, and then when he can kind of get him in a clinch, push him up against the cage, take his back. It doesn't need to be a takedown in the center. It doesn't need to be clean. He'll drag you down. I think he is going to have the better jiu-jitsu. I think Gaethje's going to look good in this fight, but I'm going to go Paddy Pimblett by TKO, and I'm going to go the second round. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happens from ground and pound or a split cut. I'll go third. But I also could see this happening 1-2 head kick, clean setup. Gaethje doesn't see it coming, and it just clips him. And we all have to kind of go, you know what? Paddy is the guy he's saying he is. But there's also a very, very, very big chance that with all the shit Paddy's been talking, how confident he is, how overcocky he is, I could see a world where Gaethje wins. And one thing I will point out is before he fought Jared Gordon, one thing I really noticed Paddy was saying, and I liked it at the time, Jared Gordon was finished by Oliveira in the first round. And before he fought Jared Gordon, Oliveira was the champ, and he was saying, lad, I need to fucking finish him in the first round, just like Charles Oliveira did. You know, like, I need to beat that. If I want to be the champ, I need to be doing what the champ did, is what he was trying to say. We saw how that fight went. It was a split decision. It should have probably gone to Gordon. It was a robbery. Now, before this Gaethje fight, I watched an interview the other night, and here he is saying, I need to beat him as quick as Oliveira did. I need to beat him in the first round, lad. And it's just like, if that's your mentality, once again, like this, I'm having deja vu back to fucking the Jared Gordon fight. And I promise you, you know, you got away against Jared Gordon sticking your chin up in the air while he's hitting you. You're not going to get away with it with Justin Gaethje. He will put you out cold if you do that. But I don't think Justin Gaethje, I think in him becoming more of this technical, patient striker, I think he's lost a bit of his forward aggression. You know, I think he's going to respect Paddy too much and allow Paddy to kind of have the leg kicks and add up on him and switch to the body. And Paddy's striking is improving from fight to fight to fight, and his ground game's already superior. We've seen how good he did against Michael Chandler. Rafael Fiziev was able to catch a couple Gaethje kicks, get on top of him, get him to the ground. If he can do that, I don't understand why Paddy can't. So I'm going to take Paddy Pimblett by third round KO.
Yeah. I can see uppercuts being a problem for Paddy Pimblett from Justin Gaethje.
Sure.
If he shoots in without a setup, Paddy actually is pretty good at setting stuff up, to be honest. But like, if he shoots in without a setup to Gaethje, I can see like a knee or an uppercut, sort of thing like that. And you have mentioned Paddy Pimblett's kicks. We are forgetting as well, Gaethje has fucking feral kicks as well. And I know he hasn't used them as much as of recent. Like, I don't think he really did many kicks in the Max Holloway fight, did he? Like, he wasn't really.
I think it's fair to say that spinning back kick that landed on his nose in the first round, I think it's fair to say that he was compromised.
Yeah.
I do think it's fair to say for the rest of the fight, he was fighting with a broken nose and he wasn't able to kind of do what he needed to do.
Yeah. And as a New Zealander, and like in New Zealand, like people that don't watch UFC or like don't even, you know, they think Conor McGregor's got a title fight against fucking Triple H next weekend. You know, like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it is like that. But they still know Dan Hooker and respect Dan Hooker. I know Paddy Pimblett, like where he comes from, he's a very much a big advocate of mental health and, I don't talk shit about fighters, lad, and all that sort of stuff like that. And like, we both talk absolute horrendous shit on and off cam, you know, like that's just how we are. But he really does. He can't preach like all this sort of mental health stuff and then talk about like it couldn't stop a rapist from getting on his mum about Dan Hooker. Like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, you know what? You got to practice what you preach. And part of me almost on that moment was like, I want Justin Gaethje to teach you a lesson.
I thought it was fair with the jabs, but in watching Paddy Pimblett interviews up to this, some of them were pre-recorded before that, including the Tom Aspinall event. He said the whole, he couldn't grapple a rapist off his mum. In the Tom Aspinall video, he couldn't grapple a murderer off his mum. So he has been using about Dan Hooker again. So that's why I think Dan Hooker took issue to it. There was about 3 or 4 circumstances where this guy just kept making a Dan Hooker analogy to his mum, a hypothetical situation in which Dan Hooker's mum is in a very compromising position and he can't do anything about it. It wasn't just a one-off brief comment on the Guru podcast, because in that case, it's kind of like you're with the Guru, who's like the king of toxic MMA, where shit gets crazy. So, you know, I could almost be like British bands, but he was doing it to Aspinall. He did it on the Guru video. And now what I don't like is instead of being like, hey, look, I fucked up and he took it way too far. And I think, you know, I shouldn't have said what I said and he shouldn't have said what he said. Let's completely drop it. We don't have to be friends, but like we both kind of have a bit of accountability on the both of yous. Because Dan Hooker said, he's like, yeah, it was a fucked up thing to say. You say something fucked up, I'm going to say something fucked up back. But Paddy's now doing the whole, you know, like, how dare he do that? And how come the UFC fans don't have any backlash? It's like UFC fans do have backlash. They just have backlash for both of you. Or they have the opinion that fear is fair. So I do that as well. I have that as well. But I did put out a video about that too. So it shows you haven't been keeping up with my content there.
And hey, well, not to be a psychologist here, But isn't it weird that the guy from England, of all places, is talking about women getting held down and murdered / raped? Like maybe it's because he's seeing that a little bit where he lives. Just shooting
Maybe
a shot
Dan
in the
Hooker
dark
doesn't
there.
have to worry about a rapist with his mom. Maybe you
Yeah,
do, Paddy. Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
I'd be
100%.
watching. Yeah, you've got two little twin girls, man. Like that's a dangerous place to be living now.
It's a
That isn't the same
dangerous
old
place
England.
to be raising kids, man. It
Oh
very much
shit!
is.
Yeah.
The UK ain't what it once was. Scousers don't get knocked out, but
They
we'll
get
see.
replaced.
I am taking Paddy. Before we wrap this up, let's remove this from the thing. Let's very quickly. We've gone over our picks. We're at an hour, so we need to wrap this up. Which isn't bad for two of us. Do you have like a parlay you're putting together? Do you have a bet or anything like that, or are you just watching this weekend for the return?
Well, originally I was, but when I got drunk on New Year's and everyone else was I was so bored without UFC. I don't know anyone else was doing this. I assume people were. I was looking through my Betcher app, which is just the app I use at the moment to bet on, and I was making up one. And I have Allen, I have Rose Namajunas, I have Cortez Acosta, I have O'Malley. I think I had Harrison, but that will be null and void. And I had Gaethje to win, and that was paying out at about $90 to the $10 I put onto it. It's a shot in the dark. Like I'm not expecting it to hit. I'd like it to hit, as everyone whoever's put a bet in their life generally wants it to hit. But yeah, I think my biggest hiccups are either going to be, I say, Rose Namajunas
Mm-hmm.
and probably Gaethje. Are the unsafe picks? They're the reason it makes money, though.
Exactly.
So I kind of have to see it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I made it nearly a month ago now, so
And it's not
you
money
know.
you're going to miss, you know what I mean? It's $10. So
Nah.
I've only done a $10 bet this weekend as well. I'm going Cameron Smotherman, which I think's fairly achievable. Josh Hockett, Michael Johnson, which is a risk for mine. Charles Johnson, which I think everybody's kind of on. Arnold
Yeah.
Allen, another risk. And then Sean O'Malley to top that off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 6-league parlay, but that for $10 is $400. So I thought that wasn't bad. I think Sean O'Malley's a lock. I think it's just Arnold Allen and Michael Johnson need to come through for me this weekend.
Yeah.
So that has been another episode of this. Very quickly, what were our disagreements? I had Michael Johnson. You have Hernandez.
Yeah.
I have Natalia Silva. You have Rose Namajunas.
Yes.
I have Waldo Cortez Acosta. No, we both have him.
Yeah. And then it's just Gaethje Paddy, really, I think.
Gaethje Paddy. So we have 3 disagreements, which means someone's going to be in the wrong. It's not going to be 1-1. So next week, I don't know what we might do, but maybe we should do some sort of stipulation.
Yeah.
Money's not fun. What could we let's bet on it. What could we do here? I think a humiliation ritual for someone, or
the person who loses has to buy a fucking kipper and wear it for the next fucking video we do or something like that.
damn. I don't know about buying a fucking kipper, bro. Maybe wearing a backwards cap might be cringe enough. Maybe now I was gonna say do a shot on stream, but it's like then you're just doing one shot. The fuck's the point of that? We can think something. We might think of something.
We'll think something. If you guys have any ideas,
yeah, drop them down below. No one's been commenting, but our big fan Simon Fick. I want to shout out Simon Fick. I'm back in the good terms with Mr. Fick. So if he does watch this, shout out to you, Simon. Keep them wings a flapping.
I don't even mind that you broke into the house. Good on you. At least someone visited. Also, yeah, guys, you still haven't chose your champions for the end of the year. Right now, a guy that we know in real life is the only other person that's commented on it, and he's going to win the money, just chances are, by just being the only person commenting. So unless you want to not have a chance at winning any money for free,
money, we will not forget it, regardless of what happens, whether we aren't consistent with this podcast this year. We will not forget it. We'll get the money to who it needs to be. And, I timestamped it. So if it's an issue, click the video, go to the timestamp, find the giveaway. You don't have to watch through everything. I know, because it's been a week now. No one really cares. Everyone's focused on this card. Switch to the giveaway, realize what it is and what you have to enter, and there might be a little bit of change for you. Maybe you guys are putting the kipper on, you fucking Jews. All right, anyway, let's make a roll out of here. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back next week with another pay-per-view. 2026, baby. We're off to a good start. It's a great start. Catch you guys later.